Welcome to the Strongman Say podcast. Another episode with our office or our little space more closely done than last week.
Yeah, I like the old wall. I liked it. They're not done
Yeah,
yet.
I like the black. I don't like the old wall.
I just like the hashtags and like writing stuff on it.
The old wall was only the old wall because I got caught up. I just thought I was so ambitious. I thought I had this week to get this done, and I forget that I literally have Monday and then I have a job Tuesday to Friday, which is coach. I run a gym. So after Monday, I taped it all up and started painting it and like boxing it in or like cutting it in. And then it just didn't happen. And then we got caught up with that Thursday debacle. I went up to Mornington, so hour 45, the other side of Geelong, got a furniture truck. I wanted to pick up some equipment off Gumtree. And it was really cool, old school, like bodybuilding equipment, heavy stacks, single pulley, like really, really good stuff. And I got there and I took Jazz, my pregnant fiance, to help, which was probably mistake one anyway. But we got there and the access door was going downstairs, or there was an access ramp that was like one person wide. And this old bodybuilding equipment's like all welded together. Like you can only take it apart to a certain degree, and it's all cable stuff. So you can take the cables out, and it was like a disaster. We're trying to like get equipment out the door, and I was like, well, this isn't going to go down the stairs. There's a 100 kilo stack on here, like 200 kilo stack on here, and then it's not going to go down the thing. So we ended up driving up for 4 or 5 small pieces of equipment and then coming back and leaving 5 or 6 of the actual ones that I wanted. And that's why I ran out of time.
And you being you, I'm like, do you need a hand? Nah. It'll be fine. Just throw it in the car. I've got a truck.
Will not accept help unless forced.
Yeah. It's like Steph said, like, get some help when we move. I'm like, but you can carry stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, get someone else. I'm like, it's Friday. No one's here.
Yeah. That's true, but you could have probably moved on a day where people were available.
No, because the bathroom wasn't ready until like
true.
Thursday.
And you had to give the keys back at 5.
Yeah.
I hear this. Yeah. That's tight.
Got it done. Got it done.
Could have done check-ins at 12 a.m. again, like we were doing when the Strong Geelong moved.
I could have carried bits of furniture, bits of gym equipment in Mornington too, but you know, we're here.
Yeah, well, stubborn.
Yeah.
First topic for today, we're going to talk about, I guess, strongman isn't a hobby. I mean, for some of you, it probably is.
I mean, what's a hobby?
Everything's
Do we define hobby?
Yeah. Something that you don't take seriously.
Well, a lot of people take Strongman seriously.
Exactly, so it's not a hobby.
They kind of train like it's a hobby though.
Yeah. The one feedback, we got great feedback from this podcast last week, or the last fortnight. Everyone loved it, well, particularly dudes.
Yeah,
like,
most of the guys said it was great.
And all the girls were just like, you guys are just talking shit.
Yeah.
Especially our partners who had heard all those stories before. They were like, I turned it off.
Well, even half my clients, like Megan in New Zealand was just like, you guys just waffle on about nothing. It's what it was meant to be.
This is what we got. This is all we got.
Yeah, I can't change this.
Like, what are you going to do a podcast about? I don't know, nothing. We're just going to talk shit. And see if people will listen.
Most podcasts.
Yeah, 100%. I feel it's the best podcasts.
Yeah. They're the only ones I listen to.
But the best piece of feedback that we got was How to Make Friends in Strongman, a story by Tyson and Leigh. I think what we're talking about when we talk about strongman as still being seen as a hobby, or some people treating it like a hobby and some people treating it like a sport, I think it's taking it seriously. I think it's treating yourself like an athlete as opposed to treating it like a hobbyist who does strongman. So I think we see like 2 delineations of people. Some people kind of do strongman and it's what they do when they knock off work, and that's probably most of us, even if you own a gym. But, you know, it's like we were talking about it before, like, oh, I won't do a big weight cut. Oh, I won't sort of like enter that comp. You know, I just do this for fun kind of thing. But maybe they're even good enough to be taking it a little bit more seriously. And I think strongman versus powerlifting in a lot of spheres is still kind of like the rugby to AFL.
Which way?
Like AFL is the sport.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like AFL is like white collar, very serious. I mean, rugby's coming along now, but if you go back like maybe 10 years, AFL was well ahead of the game.
In Victoria.
In Victoria, yeah.
In one state.
I still think like in terms
Rugby's
of treating the athletes like,
everywhere.
oh, no, Rugby boys
It's
knock
easy-
off
it's
and
ea-
go out. Like they were still banging bags and like having drinks
It's easy
straight
to be
after the game.
professional if you're just in one city.
Yeah, true.
The World Series of AFL.
Yeah, 100%. Hey,
Like baseball in America.
you have to defend AFL. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about AFL.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh.
I'm offended right now.
Yeah, you're offended. Yeah.
No, so like powerlifting's way ahead of us in that sense. They treat it like a sport. They take it serious. Like
Totally agree.
they're investing more. They get more back.
Yeah.
The comps have more money.
Yes.
Everything else.
Yeah, 100%.
But that leads into like the mentality of powerlifting and wanting to be meticulous and technical and tick every box. Whereas most people that get into strongman are like, I just want to pick things up.
Yeah.
So if you try to teach them, they're like, don't teach me how to pick things up. You just pick it up.
I guess it's inherent with the
I'm like,
mindset
how many times have you hurt your back? And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, heaps, but you just pick it up better.
Yeah, I think it's like coaching is probably the biggest one. You look at like coaches in powerlifting and some of the best coaches in Oz and stuff charging $100 a week on something.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that like strongman would just kind of be shocked to be paying a coach that much.
Yeah.
And I think like powerlifters just take it so seriously or like appreciate or see value in it so much because they treat it so seriously. You know, our
Yep.
powerlifters, and albeit I put up a post about RPEing our way out of being strong.
Yeah.
I mean, but like powerlifters are probably the biggest culprit. I mean, certainly like I see it in our gym is, you know, spending 30 minutes preparing for a session and doing
Yep.
like an hour of like main work or full work. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where strongman's like, oh yeah, cool, we'll just start picking up the log. And I'm guilty
Yep.
of that 100%. Like I don't warm up. I do now because I'm getting old. But I think
Because things hurt.
yeah, but I think there's a big difference in terms of like how you see a strongman approach the sport in terms of being a professional athlete
Yeah.
and how you see a powerlifter approach the sport in terms of being a professional athlete and how many people treat powerlifting as a hobby versus treating themselves, even if they're a hobbyist, they're
Yeah.
a serious hobbyist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Versus like strongman, it's they're a professional athlete or they're a hobbyist and they kind of treat themselves like a hobbyist. They're not
Yeah.
treating themselves like professional athletes as much. I just don't think we see it as much.
No, because we can get away with it a little bit more in our sports. If it was the other way around,
Yeah.
and there was the power lifter that was treating it like a hobby and not serious, they'd be terrible.
Yes.
And then you look at the strong men or strong women that treat it like a sport and a professional, and they're really, really good.
Yeah.
They're all the people at the top.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we all start as hobbyists.
Yeah.
It's all a hobby to start off with, right? Until you start getting good. And I think the difference is the hobbyist, or when you start as a hobby and you treat yourself seriously, or you treat your capacity to be good seriously from the get-go, or treat it like a professional athlete, or treat yourself like a professional athlete, you have a much higher potential long-term to actually be a professional athlete in the sport. Not that there's really a professional athlete in the sport of strongman, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you have the potential to actually become very, very good versus if you continue to treat yourself like a hobbyist.
Yeah. But a lot of people just tend to do what everyone else around them does.
Yes.
You know, the old thing of, you know, you're the sum of the 5 people that are closest to you.
Yeah, for sure.
So you walk into a gym where it's serious and there's someone training for nationals or worlds or something like that, you're going to tend to copy and do what they do
Oh, yeah, 100%.
and get a lot better for
Which
it.
is why I think that our gym, like looking at the guys in our gym coming up,
Yeah.
over the last couple of years, you got to think we've only been in this new space for like 18 months, 2 years now.
Yeah.
During COVID too. It's been that time where I think it's like 2 to 3 years to start to get good if you're in a sport,
Yeah.
especially sport of strongman. And we're starting to see some very good young guys come out of this gym
Yeah.
because everyone else around them is treating themselves like an athlete.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like we treat ourselves like athletes most of the time. And now,
Most of the time.
yeah, most of the time. And now you're seeing like these guys, that flow-on effect is they're getting good.
Yeah.
And then the guys underneath them are seeing these younger guys getting good who treat themselves like athletes. And the next generation of those people coming up will do the same.
Yeah. That's why you see sports where there's just younger and younger kids
Yes.
getting
Oh.
better and better or stronger and stronger.
The kid that's 19 who pulled 350?
Yeah. That's
What?
nuts.
That's wild. At like 105.
Yeah.
I'm quitting.
I'll get there
Getting
one
too
day.
old. Pardon?
I haven't hit 350. I'll get there one day before I'm 40.
I think with the middleweight series as well, in terms of like professionalism or treating yourself like a professional, I haven't released the competitor list
I've been
Which is-
asked by so many
Yeah,
people
which is-
about that.
Which
No one's happy. No one's happy about it. And it's like, is this person competing? What's the competitor list? I'm like, I don't have it. It's in the gym computer.
This is why I'm saying, like, in terms of treating yourself like a professional, stop dodging other people. Like, stop dodging motherfuckers just because you think you got a chance to qualify. Because if you just rock up and get points,
Yeah.
you're probably going to qualify, right?
Yeah, I think people forget the point system
Yeah.
is, say, 4 comps in Australia, 1 in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Winners qualify.
Yeah.
5 spots. Then off points, they're going to take 8.
Yes. 8. Huge.
I think it's 8. So
8 points, yeah.
there's a couple of people that will automatically qualify, but the majority will get in on points.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Whether coming second once is enough.
Well, it's
depends
like
how
8
many-
or 12 people on points, right? They're going to take,
They'll take 8 on
Eight
points,
on
and then it'll be
points.
the 4 or 5
which is huge.
from winners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming second once might be enough,
Mm-hmm.
unless everyone else below you travels.
So, FYI, I haven't posted the competitor list, but if you're a 90 and you want to come do the middleweight series at Geelong, you might come second because there might be only 190 registered at the moment. And then you're in. Then you get to
Yeah.
go to the final, right? But I mean, I wasn't my idea not to post the competitor list. I mean, it was, but I heard that Tiff from Silverstone had held back the competitor list or not even posted one at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Because I can see that, you know, we've got 13 105s registered.
Yeah.
I can see all these people just like not coming because they're like, oh, I'm not going to travel down and compete if I know that I'm only going to come second because so-and-so is doing it.
No, see,
Like, that's not the attitude. That's not the professional attitude.
the
Like, go-
105s don't care.
Yeah. All the 105s are good, yeah.
The 105s are turning into what the 90s were.
Yeah.
The 90s were just like, oh, where are the boys competing?
You think maybe
competing
that's
there.
because all the 90s are now 105s?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah. No one's come in to replace the 90s that have left.
No. That's probably the hard part as well.
Yeah.
Because the 105s is looking good now. Starting to look real good. Like really
Yeah.
competitive. Like I'm super keen for our
More
comp here.
competitive than it probably ever has been.
Mm.
So, like, there's the potential for that max deadlift, obviously suits and everything.
Yes.
But there's a potential for 4 or 5 guys to pull 330,
Yeah.
which for 105s in Australia has
Hugely.
never happened.
Yeah, hugely.
Same with the overhead medley. Like,
Yeah.
120 is not that hard for a lot of people now. So,
Yeah, I mean the Arnold's that got canned was 130 across the board
mm,
as well, so it was a little bit heavier.
yeah.
And I think still
That was
guys-
just for 1 rep, though.
yeah, the
one rep
log
across the
reps at
board.
end.
Yeah, so the 105s are turning into like, oh, that person's doing it. Oh, I'll just do that
I'll
because
go
it's
do
fun.
that and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Do,
is what
do
it
you
should
think
be.
you'll beat them? Probably not, but I'll try.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's what it should be from the get-go. That's what it should be.
Yeah,
That's
and
why I didn't
that's
wanna
what the
post it.
90s were.
Yes, but that's why I didn't want to post it because I didn't want people to dodge. Like I
Yeah.
hate it when people dodge competition or like because it's a qualifying comp, right?
Yeah,
So people go, oh, I don't want to do that comp because so and so is doing it, but I'll go do the easier comp to try and qualify for the big comp. And it's like, well, if you want to qualify for the big comp, there's no point being at the big comp if you don't think you can beat that person anyway because
Yeah.
you're not going to win. So may as well lose early.
yeah, or get the experience.
Or get
to
the
know
experience,
what it's like.
yeah, 100%. And like you rise with the tide, right? Like
Yeah.
all ships rise with the sea in terms of when you're throwing yourself against more competition
Mm.
or better competition, you just get better,
Yeah,
100%.
that comes back to the hobby thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is How serious do you take it?
Yeah.
Do you just want to get to the finals
Do you just want to be there?
and get a shirt?
Yeah.
Or do you want to beat the person that you don't think that you can beat?
Yes, for sure.
Do you eventually want to be like, I can't beat them now, but
Or also
That's my
get
target.
experience to keep competing against them until you beat them.
yeah, and then that's just in this country.
Yes.
Then do you want to go overseas? Because the person you want to beat in this country is not the best in the world.
By
Like,
a long
there's
shot
more-
if you're in this country,
Yeah.
bro.
There's more to keep
I hate
going.
I hate to break it to Oz, but like we're still so far behind
Yeah.
like international competition for the most part.
I think on a percentage of numbers, we're doing well.
Mm.
Like you look at the sport in, say, America, and their nationals have 600 competitors.
Yeah.
You look at how many are like really, really
strongman
good.
per capita.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do
I think
quite well,
we're doing
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think we have very high quality athletes, but the per capita is similar to America.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like
They have 1,000 people.
a
We
big
have
part.
100.
Like if we were CrossFit and we had gyms full of people trying to learn strongman,
Yeah.
I think all of us would be dinosaurs. Like, I'd be extinct.
Yeah.
There'd be really strong people that come, like that kid who's pulling 350 at 19.
Yeah.
There'd be those monsters come out of the woodwork. It's purely like a stats game, right? Like, it's purely a catchment thing where if you get more people into the sport, you're going to see better like athletes come out of it, because you're just going to capture some of those genetic freaks who were born to do it.
And then they're all at the top.
And they're all at the top.
Me and Smitty joked ages ago, and we were like, we got in at the right time. We're just trying to stay ahead.
Yes, 100%. I
Everybody
totally agree
else.
with that. I totally agree with that.
And
I'm
it's
so
hard,
fortunate. Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, when I first started strongman, like, I was the best strongman in Victoria from the get-go
Yeah.
in the 105s. Like, I was...
The only one that could cut to 105.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of hobbyists, my first strongman comp, and I will never forget this in terms of treating yourself like a professional athlete and what the vibe was when I started strongman. I remember, like, I came from like bodybuilding background and like some powerlifting and stuff like that. So it was on the more professional, or like you treated yourself a little bit more seriously, right? So your body was a temple and power, like bodybuilding, and you're bodybuilding too. So it's like, you know, what you eat really matters. You know, you get up and you put your steps in the morning, you get your session in, you eat clean, like the whole deal. And then I went to my first strongman comp and I watched the heavyweights put out a cigarette when his name was called to do yoke. He was like, yep, sweet. Like, butted out his cigarette and then jumped under the yoke and ran it. And I was like, oh my God, what sport have I entered? I love it.
Yeah. I had that at Queensland.
Yeah.
I did 1 or 2 comps here and then went up to a qualifying comp in Queensland, and it was on the sunny coast. Same thing. One of the chicks there,
Yes.
she won in like the lightweights, smashed it, strong as all hell, and then had her name called and had like a beer and a smoke.
Yeah.
And went up and got her award. And I was just like, wait, what?
Was also the demise of my health and well-being.
I can get away with whatever I want.
Which is so true though, right? Like the sport is just, it's so different comparatively to like that bodybuilding, and like powerlifting is still a bit like deadlifting burgers, right?
Yep.
But like bodybuilding, for example, is to the letter.
Powerlifting, if you go into like equipped, and those guys, those old guys that love their equipped lifting, and they've got like scotch or vodka in like the chalk bowl with the ammonia and stuff.
I mean, there's been a big shift either way, because raw lifting is taken so seriously now.
Yeah.
Like those guys are athletes and it's so competitive too. So they're, I mean, there's no, when you look at the 110 class, 100 class, there's no non-jacked dudes in there.
Yeah.
Like
that was the minority once. How crazy is that?
Yeah. Like
if you did
powerlifting.
raw lifting, everyone's like, that's weird. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You're weak.
Yes.
You can't bench what we can bench.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like raw lifting wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's come a long way. And raw lifting, I think it's just more accessible too.
Yeah.
Which is the big thing. Like raw lifting is so much more accessible than what equipped lifting would ever have been anyway. Especially when you think about guys, and we run novice comps and stuff like that, and you can just get guys in sleeves like they would at the normal gym and come and compete and get that same feeling, get that same like enjoyment out of competing and like channeling that competitive energy into something without having to fork out for 3 suits.
Yeah, it's more comparable too. Like you can sit at home or you can watch someone that's doing raw lifting and know what your numbers are compared to theirs.
Yeah.
That's why people don't watch Thor and Eddie and Brian and really get a good understanding of like what they're doing.
Because it's so far ahead.
Yeah.
But that's shock value. That's different as well.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's why
it's
strongman
exciting
is-
to watch, but you can't relate to it.
Yes. Yeah.
You're
Which
like,
is why the
that's sick
105
and all.
class is so big overseas too.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're the
Normal size
normal but like attainable but big, or attainable but like quite strong, and it's probably more tangible as well for people to kind of go, oh yeah, sweet, like that guy's just a little bit bigger than me, I could probably get there.
Yep.
But you probably can't.
No, probably still not.
Not to like the same thing we're talking about. That overseas level of like competition is very, very high.
Because people don't understand the difference. Like someone that's 110 deadlifts 420 compared to say Eddie that deadlifts 5, and everyone's like, oh, that's way more impressive because he's 110. It's like 80 kilos at that weight.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's not
500
80.
is still
That's not
500,
100. It's not 100 to 180.
No. Yeah. 100%.
That is a
like that's a
big
big difference. Yeah. 500 is huge. To be able to like deadlift 500 is uncomprehensible,
Yeah.
you know? There's too many comps.
Too many comps.
Yeah, man. I can't
country.
pick which one.
Goes from not enough comps to too
Yeah,
many comps.
COVID, there's not enough comps.
Yeah, it's too hot. It's too cold.
I think like that sentiment that's kind of been throwing around, like there's too many comps. There's been like a lot of talk within the community around like or clients. There's too many comps, or they just want to jump into every comp, or you know there was not enough comps. The sport's dead.
Yep.
And now we've like pendulum swung the other way. It's super interesting to sort of see how people are choosing comps or not choosing wisely.
Yeah, I've got a few athletes that are just jumping in anything and everything, depending on what they like. But they're very new.
Yeah.
They're 6 months in, 12 months in. And I'm like, go see what comps you like, go do this comp, go do that comp. But then eventually you got to get to a point where you pick and choose.
Yes.
And you have direction.
Of course.
So
And
there's not too many comps depending on what level you're at.
100%. I think that's the key, right?
Yeah.
What level you're at, and sort of figuring out or determining what comps you want to do. I mean, the sentiment would be, I'm going to do these intermediate novice comps and do well, and then I'm going to test myself at Victoria's Strongest Man, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of understand that, but like we were talking about before, at some point you've kind of got to choose the comp that's actually within your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
As opposed to like trying to jump in every comp and dominating one or two and then getting mid-pack for Victoria's Strongest Man.
I think 9 times out of 10, you can step up
Yes.
to a harder comp.
Yeah.
For most people. And then there's 10%
And
of
get
people where it's like, you need to stop redlining it and you need to slow down.
Yeah,
There's a small handful of people where it's like, you're overreaching
Yeah.
and you're just breaking.
I think that's probably,
Big goals,
yeah,
but too
the
soon.
unspoken one. Everyone sort of has issue or talks a lot about intermediates or people that they feel are too good for novice entering novice comps. And that's pretty widely sort of posted about or has been recently, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think that it's pretty hard to be the novice police.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that, you know, there was a post recently that said like, oh, if you've done 2 novice comps, you're not a novice anymore.
Yeah.
And I absolutely get that. But if they're nowhere near the intermediate numbers and they're still going to come last in novice, they're probably still a novice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, novice is actually dictated by your capacity to hit the weights or even not hit the weights in novice. Do you know what I mean? People who are like sort of trying to break into the sport, they might see that and go, well, I've done 2 novice comps, but I still can't hit that axle and I still would have trouble with those. So I'm probably still in there, and I'm sure there's discretion for that. But I do think the 2 novice thing is a good metric as long as there's intermediate comps for someone to step up to in the next stage. But the one that's not spoken about is exactly what you're talking about, which is people who are consistently overreaching to get to competitions and breaking themselves. Yeah. Like redlining all the time instead of choosing comps that are in their wheelhouse. Like, we so often hear about people like cherry picking down, but we don't really like address the fact that like people are breaking themselves, or people are consistently kind of dealing with niggles and issues because every comp they enter is here. So they're constantly trying to hit this or reach this roof to try and get to these competitions. So it's like, I'm here and I'm pushing everything uphill to try and make it to this comp. And then they qualify for the next comp and they're like, bro, I just want to be there. I just want to really get my t-shirt and like go compete. Here. And the next comp's here. And you're like, you just broke trying to get to the qualifying comp.
And it's 8 weeks away.
And it's 8 weeks away. And I think that like we have to really realize, or like athletes have to realize, there's really good benefit in getting the reps in at competitions that are at your level. Or within your wheelhouse, right? Because that's what's going to build competition, like confidence and like your skills in like being a competitor. But also like that's also going to get you to the stage where you are. There's no shame in doing competitions in that middle level if you're at that middle level.
Yeah, I think people want to do the comp where they're like, I'm only going to get 1 or 2 reps and it's heavy and it's badass and it's this and that. I don't want to do a comp where I've got to do 10 reps.
Yeah. But strongman.
And it's like, it's harder to do 10 reps in 60 seconds,
Yeah.
not mess it up,
Yeah.
be efficient, be able to breathe, have your technique down. Like, it's easy to zero an event.
Yes.
It's easy to go in a comp and be like, oh, I'll have a crack.
I barely did anything. I zeroed 3 events.
I
But how
zeroed
good
an
was that?
event.
I feel pretty fresh.
I did 2 reps. Yeah, I feel great. I love competing. Sign me up next week. It's like, we didn't do much of the comp.
Well, can I do another comp in 2 weeks? Yeah, you can because you didn't do anything.
Yeah. So it's easy to go in when there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's got to be a 20 kilo PB.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's no pressure.
Yeah. It's like when I compete in the heavyweights.
Yeah.
And probably similarly, I mean, I know you feel a bit of pressure with middleweight series, I'm sure. But similarly to us going up a weight class, it's like, it's not your weight class.
Yeah.
Like if I compete in the heavies, I immediately feel the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been beaten by an Australian 105 since 2015.
Yeah.
So fuck, if I do a 105 comp, like I feel a bit of pressure, right? Like,
Yeah.
but if I do a heavyweight comp, like everyone expects to be beaten by the heavyweights. Like they're 30 kilos heavier than me. That's cool. If I can stick it to them in a few events, great.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win,
If I
right?
beat you, it's just like, oh, shame on you.
Yeah, but if I don't win, it's like, oh, well.
Look how much bigger you are.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate. People do that as well, though.
Yeah.
People jump up as a cop out.
Yes. Yeah. They, or
As
a
well.
dodge, right? Or a
Yeah.
dodge.
So same thing. You talk about people cutting weight to dodge competitors.
Yes.
Can you go up to dodge competitors?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Or just dodge competition
yes.
as a cop out.
Oh, well, I mean, like, heavyweights was a great place to hide for a while in Australia. Not now. There's some great guys coming through the heavyweights at the moment.
Yep.
Really good guys.
But if you're very light as a heavyweight, you've got that backup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What? I'm a light heavyweight. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, oh, yeah, but I'm not 160 kilos.
Yeah. Well, then cut 15, bro. I do it overseas.
True. Very
100%.
true. Yeah.
120, easily overseas.
True.
Mm.
You know, I was saying it's easy to just do 2 reps. It's hard to do like 9 or 10 reps.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get international and you do top level comps,
Yes.
you're doing 9 or 10 reps again.
Yeah.
That's the sport.
Well, I think that I think we talked about it last time as well, like World's Strongest Man. Everyone was like, oh, it's pretty light.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the sport. Like it's strongman. It's like, it's not just powerlifting.
Yeah.
There's muscle endurance, right? There's like athleticism involved in the sport versus just being that heavy 1 to 2 reps all the time.
Yeah. I think if you go overseas and you look at the weights there, even like OSG and stuff, look at the weights there and like it's heavy.
Yeah.
But if you're good and you're meant to be there, you're going to run the yoke quick.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to do a lot of reps.
Yeah, I mean
12 reps is still going to win like a Viking press or something like that.
Yeah, I mean like when I did Arnold's, the joke was only 340. It was a race. It was quick.
Yeah, Arnold's always did that in Ohio.
Yeah, it's like quite light.
15-meter yoke,
Yeah.
sprint.
Yes.
First place got 9 seconds.
Yeah, it's quick.
15th
Like
place got
9.5.
13.
Yeah.
It was like 4-second buffer with everyone.
Yeah, super tight.
Yeah, and that was normal.
Yes.
No one complained.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
someone probably complained, but
Yeah. So I think that like when people are choosing comps or people are talking about, with all that being said, I think when people are talking about there's too many comps,
Yep.
it's like, well, don't redline it all the time. There's no shame in doing comps in that middle band if
Yep.
you are a middle band athlete. And sometimes you just have to like take stock and look at the fact that I am in that middle band and I can play with the big boys, but I should be doing more comps in my wheelhouse and then sort of reaching every now and then
Yep.
to kind of push. And then also understanding that if you're in the middle band, then like choose the middle band comps and don't just choose a lower comp or an easier comp for fun or, you know what I mean? Like I won't enter a regional comp.
Yep.
I'm not going to go enter like a ASA comp down here or something that is at the intermediate level.
Vic's strongest.
Yeah. Even Vix. Like I do Vix, of course, because like a state level comp.
Yep.
And it's my state.
Yep.
But even still, do you know what I mean? Like the last time I did Vix, I didn't do the stones. I didn't have to do the stones because I had OSG coming up and my bicep wasn't great. So I just didn't do the stones and I still won. Do you know what I mean? Like I still feel that it's better to have people who are coming up have those comps
Yep.
and do well and like build their capacity to do competitions and like get wins on the board than just go in there and tear it apart.
Yep.
If this makes sense.
Yeah, it's a hard one because if you compete, that gives people something to chase.
Yeah.
Was
I
the
get
same
that.
thing with like the ASM and like no one getting re-invited back.
Yeah. I like
So
that.
it forced
Yeah.
all the big strong guys
Yeah.
to then go and do those state level comps.
I really like that they're doing that. Like Australia's Strongest is doing that. That we have to qualify. I would have liked to have known that I had to re-qualify. We're like, oh no, yeah, you re-qualify if you win middleweight series. And then like 4 weeks ago, Leigh was like, no, I think they put up a post and they took it down, but I think you have to re-qualify. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll better sign up for a comp.
Yeah, I've still got to do that for 90s as well.
Yes. Yeah. But I really like that we have to re-qualify because I think it forces competitors to compete more, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And compete more against each other.
Yeah, well, there's too many competitions now, so you need more competitors to fill them.
Otherwise, I mean, like our comp, we got 13 105s, but only 3 in the other classes and 1 at 90.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more competitors. If you're watching this and want to sign up, it's a good comp to get points so you can end up at the final. Because if you're one of those girls and you're in the 3 category and you come 4th, you're still going to rack up a whole lot of points. You do 2 of those comps and come 4th, there's a really high likelihood that you're going to be there at the end of the day.
Either everyone's banking on doing the Clash AS International comp and that be their big comp next year.
Yes.
Or they're banking on a later qualifier.
Yeah.
To get to middleweights.
The Clash doesn't really qualify for middleweights, right?
No, I mean, people are just going to pick one of the 2.
2. Yeah, I think people should do both.
Yeah.
Really, they're the 2 biggest comps for middleweights in the country. If you want to compete against good middleweights.
Well, they're banking on later qualifiers to get them through.
Yeah. But everyone's going to be in those later qualifiers.
Whose is the last one? Sean's?
Yeah.
In January? Feb?
Yeah, maybe.
Feb?
Yeah.
That's going to
filled with
everyone that realized, oh shit.
Like the early one, everyone's like, oh yeah, we got time. And then you get to the last one, you're like, oh, I need points, or oh, I need to win one.
Yep.
That comp's going to be very busy.
That's when you post a competitor list.
Yeah.
Here's everybody that's stuffed up.
Shame.
Yeah, walk of shame.
What are you going to do? Which one are you going to compete in for the 90s to qualify?
Maybe Wagga.
Oh, yeah. The one that, we talked about going up for that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Kind of.
Can we go to New Zealand?
That would be cool. I would really want to go to Desire one.
Yeah. Max Axel overhead.
Ugh, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, your bicep won't handle it.
I'm practicing my hip cleans. I'm getting there. I don't want to run
coming
into
back.
that again. Yeah.
Strength is coming back.
Yeah, I just don't want to run into that like body break in 8 weeks thing.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to like spend some time light now to get it right and like change a few technical things while I've got time. And that was one of them. Like the clean fucking on my bicep is like, okay, cool. Well, I need to change that because that's not going to change if I don't change how I clean the axle.
How's your body weight going? If you just get bigger.
Yeah, my body weight's good.
Yeah.
I was like 107.5 this morning. I was 109 the other day. I fluctuates a fair bit.
It's getting there.
I mean, it fluctuates a lot anyway.
113's like magic number.
113 is, I reckon I'll push it to like 112, 113 and do a heavyweight comp and qualify for ASM ideally, I think would be cool. Yeah, the fluctuation thing is, I don't know. I just feel like it's pretty easy to put on weight and lose weight if it's what you want to do, right? Like at the moment, like I've come back and I was 100 kilos after coming back after 3 months of traveling in a van and backpacking and that kind of thing.
Are you saying you wanted to lose weight when you were traveling and backpacking?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't when I left.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I was like, nah, this time. I said to Leigh before we left this backpacking thing, because over summer, I sort of did this thing where I did bodybuilding circuits and I was really heavy. Like I got to 112, 113 when I was doing like powerlifting. The powerlifting comp got called and then, even compound conception or whatever, or compound carnage. Yeah. I was like 112, 113 and like super strong, probably the strongest that I've been.
Yep.
I reckon most consistently. And then because there wasn't any comps coming up, I was just heavy and I didn't really feel great at that weight all the time unless I was under a barbell. I just started losing weight and then kept losing weight and then kept losing weight. And then I was like 96, 97 and I was like, oh, cool. There's like 15 kilos I've lost. Like I lost a heap of weight. Like I went from like 113 down to like 97, 98. And I felt pretty good. Like just not lifting, but I wasn't lifting.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't it weird how that dynamic changes? Big and heavy feel invincible under a barbell
Yeah.
just in one plane of motion.
Yes, 100%.
The rest of life, terrible.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's 100% true. And everyone sort of goes, oh, why don't you do heavyweights and like take out ASM and stuff? I'm like, because I don't have the frame to carry 120 kilos. And I just wouldn't want to because at the end of the day, like it would impede everything else that I enjoy doing in my life.
Yeah. That's everyone's saying that I should do 105s and just stay in 105s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but then to be competitive, I need to be like 110.
And that's heavy.
That's 10 kilos more than I am now.
Yeah, 100%. Like this big, that's a big ball. You'd be a little staffy.
I'm not going to run.
You'd go from staffy to pitbull. Like French bulldog.
It would, I don't know, it would have to not go here because I wouldn't be able to fit around a stone
Do you know
anymore.
where it would go?
Here. It's the last place.
And probably his delts. Like
Yeah.
it'd probably go to his traps, his delts, and like probably his tummy
Stomach.
as well. Yeah.
I wouldn't physically be able to get around a stone anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen heavyweights like that.
Yeah, of course, like shorter arms and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and like quite big,
And
like
hold
big
it through the
trunks.
middle.
Yeah, 100%.
They lap a stone and then
It's hard to get deep into your lap to get that extension too.
well, they've only got this much leg
Yeah.
to sit a 180, 200 stone on. So
I
at
mean-
some point, being too big is not going to help.
Oh, 100%. But like you're sitting like 100 now,
Mm.
and you like so. Lee's put on weight because after middleweight series, like cool, I need to get stronger. But then also I'm going to do a 105 comp, right? So put on weight.
Well, that was a last minute decision.
100%. It was more put on weight, get stronger, get some.
Put on weight, get stronger, do that for like 8 to 12 weeks. Then this comp popped around and I was like, all right, now I'm going to have to cut it again and lose it. But hopefully I'll be stronger because I'm sitting at a heavier body weight all the time. My body's getting used to that. And then no 90s really signed up. A heap of 105 started saying they were. And I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
I'll do, yeah, 100%.
I feel strong as well. Like, I'll just do that.
Super strong. But when we talk about weight fluctuations or body weight for competition or for like lifestyle and stuff, it's easy to put on the weight when you have the goal to. And when you have to be 90, you'll be 90, right?
Yeah.
And then like there's benefits of being heavier. Like there's benefits of feeling good. Like you were like, oh, this is what it feels like to be a 105. This is fun when you're heavy.
Yeah. It's the biggest change
Yeah.
to everything I've done.
Yeah.
Like generally training, different block, but training's much the same, 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Lifestyle's pretty much the same. Recovery, lack of recovery, not doing a heap for it.
Yeah.
The big thing is food.
Yeah,
And then
food.
body weight.
100%. But that was just a necessity. I think when we're talking about body weight and the necessity of what is like required at the time, putting on weight was a necessity for you.
Yep.
And so you put on weight. Like when I went backpacking, it was a necessity for me to kind of lose weight because it was financial too.
Yep.
I was like, I can't eat 6 meals a day while I'm backpacking.
Yeah.
And Jazz is vegetarian. It's really hard financially. Like if you're backpacking and living on a budget, to be getting a meat meal for me every night or twice a day and vegetarian meal for her. So we would just split vegetarian stuff.
Yep.
So I ate vegetarian for 3 months pretty much. And I would eat 3 meals a day. I'd have oats for breakfast, tempeh wraps for lunch, and tofu and rice for dinner. And that was me for 3 months. And it's like, oh, well, like I lost 10 kilos because I was walking around, traveling in a van and eating vegetarian 3 meals a day versus 6 meals a day with a high protein diet and training. So of course you're going to lose weight, but I don't think it's hard to put weight back on when you need to, when it's your job, right?
Well, that's a hobby versus taking it serious.
When
a lot of people will just go, oh, that's the job that I need to do.
Yes.
I'll put on weight.
100%.
And then they put on weight.
Yeah. When I was running, like we're talking about doing like adventure runs and can you do both, right?
Yep.
I'm like, of course you can do both. Is it optimal to do both?
Yep. No.
It's not optimal to go do adventure runs or trail runs while training for super heavy competitions and throwing another stressor in.
Yep.
Absolutely not. But can you do both? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you'll be the strongest fit guy and you'll be the fittest strong guy.
Yeah.
But you won't be the strongest strong guy and you won't be the fittest fit guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like basically CrossFit, right? But with less skill. It's like strongman and running, like low skill.
Yeah. You'll be the fittest gymnast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're second best at everything.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like the CrossFit
Oh,
thing.
Not even second.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Top 10 at most.
Top 10 at everything, whereas the rest of us are going to be number one.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then last.
Yeah. But if you're running, like if I was doing adventure races, I lose weight.
Yep.
Because carrying 110 kilos up a hill when you have to run for fucking 10 kilometers is not fun. Like I don't want to run now.
I struggled when I first started training, and not even because of body weight, but like I came from heaps of skating and snowboarding and surfing and all that sort of stuff. Then was training all the time, was trying to do both because I was just getting into the gym and it was fun. So I'm like, I'm going to go in 6 days a week and just smash myself.
Recovery.
Yeah, and then I went to skate and my legs hurt.
Yeah.
And I couldn't like ollie or I couldn't jump. I couldn't do anything. And then I'd fall on skating and like hurt my wrist.
Yep.
And then I'd go in and pick up a dumbbell and I'm like, oh, my wrist hurts. I can't train.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't do these things together.
It's a hard balancing act.
Both of them are just killing me.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's a hard balancing act because like I know that, I mean, if I ran 20 Ks on the Sunday and came in to train legs, like my knees might be a little bit sore, or like my like lower body and my hips might be a little bit tight and stuff like that. Like it wasn't the ideal or optimal environment to go lift in.
Yep.
But it's also like, even when we go hiking, like we go hiking for a weekend, I come in on Monday and I go to like lift something. It's like my back's a little bit sore from carrying a pack up a mountain. You know what I mean? So it's a hard balancing act when you are, and this comes down to being a professional and like a hobbyist and sacrificing some of your hobbies for when the professional thing is. If you signed up for a competition, you're standing there, right? The competition day will come and you are going to be in the arena with a bunch of other dudes. And whether you've put the work in or sacrificed those hobby days or like had some bad sessions because you didn't prioritize the competition stuff is going to come to a head. You're either ready or you're not.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's important, like when we talk about that hobbyist thing and the professional thing, it's also like sacrificing, like, it's like, can you do both? Yes, you can. Can you lose weight depending or put on weight depending if it's necessity? Yes, you can. But should you? Like, would I be a better strongman? Maybe not, but like, would you be a better strongman if you just did it 12 months a year and didn't do those things? Maybe.
I think later on down the line, but I think specializing too early
yeah,
is
for sure.
really bad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think
as like a kid in high school in everything. I
even
think
early in your lifting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you see powerlifters doing 4 bench days a week and doing 3 squat days and barely any accessories. And it's like, well, you're skinny, dude. Your bench sucks because you're skinny. You can bench 4 days a week, but your bench is just always going to suck until you start pushing accessory and putting some muscle on.
And their technique is perfect.
Yes, they're technically amazing.
But they just can't get any stronger.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Because they've got no muscle. Like bone doesn't contract.
They're just rushing to get like sore elbows.
Yeah, yeah. Like
it's like you're powerlifting, you're gonna get sore elbows eventually. Don't rush to get there.
It's gonna come. You're gonna low bar squat.
Don't
You're
rush
gonna
to get sore knees.
They're not gonna like you. But for the time being, like, how about you put some muscle on? Because and it's like bigger guys. It's like, well, fat doesn't contract.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know how. Like technically, you're great. Probably neurally, you're great. Probably like in terms of that, like you're fantastic. But you can't activate or you can't like initiate contraction and create force if there's no muscle.
Yep.
Right. So obviously the first go-to, or like specializing too early, or being specific with event work for strongman, or like powerlifting, like main lifts for powerlifters, there's detriment to specializing too early and not getting those reps in early to like build a foundation of like strength and size to be strong.
Yeah. I still think bodybuilding and general hypertrophy work is like when people are like, oh yeah, strongman, CrossFit, powerlifting, it's for anybody. If you're an absolute beginner, you can jump in and do it. And I'm like, you can, but it wouldn't be a good start.
No.
To jump 100%. In and just be like, all right, we're just going to squat, bench and deadlift forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do some accessories for squat, bench and deadlift.
The accessories
is still very
treated,
narrow.
Yeah, the accessories are never treated with the utmost attention or purpose. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the time.
I used to come into the gym and train for like 3 hours and do like 10 different chest exercises that now I look back on and are like, are useless. Yeah. And then I'd drive home and like my chest would be that sore.
Yeah, like you go to put your seatbelt on and like cramping up.
Drive home and like intentionally like flex it because I'm like, I don't want to lose this pump.
I don't want to go home and be skinny.
Dumb kid stuff. I'm like, if I keep contracting it, will it keep getting bigger?
I finally look jacked and I don't want to lose it. And then you get like, you're like in the gym mirror when you're a young kid and you're like, fuck, I look jacked. Like, and then you go home and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh.
Can we get a gym mirror at home?
Can we get some bands, Mum? I need some bands at home so I can get a pump before I go jump in the shower so I don't look so skinny.
Mum, I need a smaller stringer singlet.
It's hurting my self-worth.
Need to get a smaller singlet so my traps look bigger.
Do you think you would, did you think you would be where you are now in terms of like what you're doing training wise, or what you've achieved strength wise, or now talking about like professional athleticism being what, as far as professional strongman go in our country, at the top of professional strongman in our country, do you think that you would have been there? Or when you look back, do you think like, could you foresee that that was the trajectory of like your training?
Not really, because no one was anywhere in the sport when I
didn't even
started.
know about strongman. I didn't know what strongman was.
Oh, but even when I first got into strongman,
Yes.
like there was no national champ. So there
True.
was no target,
Yeah.
which made it hard. But every sport that I did, like I'd start skating and I'd watch pro skaters and I'm like, don't see why I can't do that.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Yes.
And then would just throw myself at it relentlessly.
If they can do it, I can do it too.
until it would try to happen.
Yes.
So if there's a toxic trait that I was born with, it's watching someone do something and be like, I could do that.
Or I could do it better.
Yeah. give me a week.
Yeah, give me a week. This
Yeah.
person has skated their whole life or lifted their whole life, but I reckon I could do it better in a week.
Yeah. They're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I'll show you.
And then the more complicated, as I got older, I was just like, okay, maybe not a week, but like give me a year
Yes.
and I can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I think I didn't expect that I could lift what I could lift now.
Yeah.
Like when I first started.
Yeah.
Like if someone popped up and was like, you're going to be able to do this, this, and this. And I'd be like, oh, I don't reckon I'm capable of
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
But then at the same time,
As you grow through those, it
if somebody
becomes
else
more
did it, I'd be like, well, why can't I do that?
And as you get closer, as you go through your journey and things are seemingly within reach, but just out of reach,
Yeah.
it slowly kind of escalates, right?
Yeah. I think by the time I hit every PB or like big milestone number, I either expect that it should have happened
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
or I expect that it should be there,
Yeah.
or I'm already looking at the next number.
Yeah.
So I never really celebrate much.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, did log last week, hit 150.
Yeah.
I was like, well, based on the week before, it should be there.
Yeah.
So if I fail, I'm going to crack it.
I
But if-
expect it of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not proud of myself for doing it because I expect that of myself.
Yeah. And then already I'm like, oh, 160 would be nice.
And I mean, you say that, but if like that's because it's within reach and you expect it. But if you went 20-year-old Leigh, does he look at like 32-year-old Leigh and go, "Whoa, dude, you've crushed it"?
I think so.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
I think if 20-year-old me came into the gym and saw us training, actually even half the women in here training, I would have walked back out and gone back skating. I would have been like, this is way over my head.
Whoa.
Especially half the women. Like, I think I'd walk in and just be like, oh, I can't even do that.
Oh, totally.
I'm going to do
Definitely
something else.
now. I mean, like, I was a little psycho. Like, when I was like 16, 17, I still like vividly remember being on I couldn't do chin-ups, right? And like, I started the gym pretty young. I was like 14 or 15. I started sneaking into the gym, paying for like swim passes and stuff like that. And I had the gym bros kind of help me out. I was like a young kid and stuff like that coming to the gym. And I was like, when I was a little psycho, like I'd take my pre-workout at home after work and like band practice because I was a musician, and I would like take my pre-workout at like 6:30 straight after dinner, jump on my bike and like ride to the gym, and then get in there and just like from 7 till like 9 when it closed, I would just like go as hard as I could for like 2 hours, right? But I remember like not being able to do chin-ups, and one of this guy, I still remember it so clearly, one of the guys was like, if you want to learn how to do chin-ups, stop using the assisted chin-up machine and just come in there and do 10 for time or like 20 for time and just break it down to as many as you can get, and then you slowly string them together. And I remember at like 17, because I wanted to always be a trainer, right? Like I always wanted to be a coach, or like I was going to do sports science and stuff like that. And I always thought that I wanted to train the best, right? So I remember doing chin-ups as a 17-year-old little psychopath, being like, to train the best, I got to be the best. To train the best, I got to be the best. Like, what kid does that? I don't have that drive anymore.
That was not me at 17.
Yeah, dude, I like sat on Sunday, like sit there with an Excel spreadsheet, calculating my macros for the week, like cooking my food and stuff like that. I don't have that kind of drive now. Like, there's no way I'm doing that. But I think about like 20-year-old me, like doing bodybuilding and stuff, and being like, oh, cool. Like my goal as a kid was to like own a gym and train the best or whatever, right? And I'm like, well, 20-year-old me looks back on, or like gets to see 30-year-old me and go, you've competed around the. It's not exactly what you had envisioned, but you got a gym. You've competed around the world. You're strong. Like you did everything that you set out to do. I'd be like, fuck yeah. But in the time, like right now, I'm like, didn't really do well enough.
Always wanting more.
Yeah, I think it's like when it's with, like you were saying, I think it's you expected the 150 because it's within reach or is expected for now.
Yeah.
But if you rewound 5 years ago and said that, like when you started Strongman and said you're going to hit a 150 log, you would be, that's the strongest dude around.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was pressing 150 when we started.
No.
Not in a 105 or 100 kilo weight class anyway.
No. So I think that's where like being able to reflect back far enough to take small wins.
Yeah.
Like I don't celebrate it massively because I want more.
Yeah.
But I can still rewind back far enough to be like, this is a really big achievement for me. I'm not somebody that does it and is pissed off about it because it's not good enough.
And I have to talk to clients about this all the time.
Like some people are so hard on themselves.
Yeah, clients are so hard on themselves. And I have to like, you know, coaching is this really fine line sometimes between knowing when to push someone and be hard with someone and kind of be like, well, that isn't really good enough. You didn't really put in enough this week, or you didn't move well. You're capable of more. And then sometimes, even when they didn't do the best job, kind of just encouraging them and being like, no, like you've done a good job, all things considered this week. When you look at the hurdles that you had to overcome to get these sessions done, or the factors of fatigue that have kind of come into play, you've done a fantastic job, and encourage them or like lift them up a little bit, because sometimes your clients are the hardest people on themselves. Like we are as well. Like it's totally, but you kind of have to pick up on that vibe when to push them and when to go. Like I've had clients and I've had to do exactly what I just did with you, being like, well, what 20-year-old you say? Because I can say, dude, 2 years ago, not 10 years ago, 2 years ago, you wouldn't dream of done this. Like you've come so far in the last 2 years. I'm like, oh yeah, but it was, you know, I can do better. I'm like, yes, you can. Keep yourself some slack. Yeah. Like, be happy about the fact that you missed loads that you wouldn't have dreamt of hitting 2 years ago.
Yeah. See, this is why you're going to be a good dad, because you already have children.
40 of them.
Yeah, you already have a lot of children.
It
It literally is. It's like someone needs a smack on the back of the head, someone you need to pick up and be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah, sometimes. And sometimes you've got to be hard with them too.
We do that and they're like, okay, I did great. And it's like, now go do better.
Yeah. Be less shit.
Yeah.
Do a good job.
Yeah. Don't be shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for another episode of...
Yeah, could do.
How long were you rolling?
About 48.
Yeah, that's good. All right, team. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back in a fortnight waffling on about more strongman stuff, training stuff, and life stuff.
Sweet. Done.